Bonjour, bonjour, bonjour. I'm your humble French tarot reader slash deck goblin marine, and today I'm super pumped to be sharing with you my newest tarot and oracle decks. March is my birthday month, so usually March tends to be a great deck month for me. My sun sign is in Goblin and my moon sign is in Hobbit, so I love to treat myself all year long, but especially more around my birthday. And so in the month of March, I've actually received a lot of decks, and there's quite a few decks coming, as I know some of my lovely friends are sending gifts. So instead of having one epic, super long video, as I have limited spoons this month, I'm still struggling a lot with my chronic pain, I thought I'd split this whole into two parts. This one is gonna showcase decks that I actually purchased ages ago that finally arrived to my collection. Today we've got Kickstarter decks. We have a mass market order I put back a few months ago that finally was delivered to me. An NPC order as well, make playing cards order that I also put weeks ago that finally arrived. So I was too excited to wait, and I wanted to start sharing all of these new goodies with you. As per usual, all the names of the decks are going to be in the description box below. A few of these decks I've already used, so I'll give you mini reviews, and some of them I've not used yet, so we'll do like first impression. As always, I go back in my monthly favorites and share with you my finished thoughts, usually in those after I've worked with the deck for a few weeks, a couple of months. If you want to get my final thoughts, they're usually in my monthly favorite. And of course, if you want to see any of these decks being used, then definitely check out my other channel, The Waves of Your Soul Readings, where I create pick a card readings, tarot guidance, monthly readings for you guys. I use all of these decks. I do readings on that channel on lots of different subjects. So if you want to see these decks being actually used, then definitely go and subscribe to my second channel. The link will also be in the description box. We're going to do part 1 of this deck haul, and then in a few weeks, once I've received all the gifts that I know are coming my way, I will do a part 2. And I'm super pumped as there's some gorgeous decks I want to share with you today. Let's go. Let's start with a pre-order I received a few weeks back, but it was after I filmed my latest haul. And between me filming my haul and me posting them, there's even a few weeks happening because I'm not the fastest editing person ever. Again, chronic pain, living with dynamic disability. It kind of gets in the way of me being an efficient content creator. This is a deck I've had for a while, but you've not seen it yet on YouTube. And that is the Fairy Tale Journey Tarot by Taroteka. I pre-ordered this as soon as they announced it. This is a deck I've been using a lot in March that you can definitely expect to see in my March favorites because I'm obsessed, to be honest. First, look at this gorgeous box. For those of you who don't know Taroteka Studios, they are indie company. I think they're based in Eastern Europe, if I'm not mistaken, potentially Poland, but don't quote me on that. They are the creators of the Dark Mansion, which was actually my very first indie deck back in the day. They also made the Slavic Legends Tarot, which I love, and this is their latest creation. Not sure why it's called the Fairy Tale Journey. As a huge fairy tale lover myself, I don't see a ton of references to fairy tales in this one, but maybe they are focused on Eastern Europe fairy tales, and I'm French, so my fairy tales references are the Brother Grimm's, mostly, and Charles Perrault, who's like the main author for French fairy tales. So maybe that's why I don't recognize these. It might be fairy tales that are part of more Eastern Europe folklore. For me, this is giving me fantasy. I don't really count this as a fairy tale deck. In my collection, I have other fairy tale decks personally that I think are more really specifically tailored to the fairy tales I know, but I'd love to know if you guys actually have a clue whether this specifically referenced like stories, because on the back it even says it's a fairy tale world. It's it's giving you that fairy tale atmosphere, which I totally agree with. For me, it's like giving fairy tale world, giving fairy tale vibe, but I don't see references to specific fairy tale stories. For me, again, you can let me know in the comments if it references stories I'm not familiar with. That being said, this for me is like a fantasy deck. It's a world building deck. It's a deck that allows me to escape, and for that, I love it. Like, I don't ask, it doesn't need to be any more than that for me, as I love the artwork and I love the world it's set up in. So you can actually get this deck in a few different formats, as with all of those decks from Taroteka Studio. I got this one with these back, and it's the matte version. They actually have just recently released this deck with a linen cardstock. I think it's the first time they're doing that. Normally they always do this matte one. biggest fan of linen. Like, it's okay, but it's not my favorite as I don't really riffle shuffle. So I went with their normal matte cardstock, which is rose petal, but still not sticky. And I'm really happy with it. It really, you can see, like, it's not clumping or anything. So I'm happy with that. But for those of you who prefer a more flexible cardstock, you can get it as well. It's a different back. And I think on the linen cardstock, the edges are golden. And on this one, there it's black, which I also prefer. So overall, I went with this version. So as with all of Taroteka Studio, there is no guidebook, but this definitely follows RWS. So if you're familiar with that system, it won't be an issue to read with this, I don't think. And as you're gonna see, this is set up in this beautiful fantasy world, what they call this fairy tale world. Again, for me, I don't see a reference to a particular fairy tale story. I do absolutely adore the art style. I adore the world building, the world setting, and this is mostly why I pre-ordered this deck. Literally as soon as they announced this deck and they shared a couple of pictures, I was like, yep, take my money. And I have zero regret. This is such a joy for the fantasy lover in me. Look at these creatures on the Ace of Wands. Look at that. I don't know what they are, but I love them so much. They're giving me cute little gremlin, goblins energy, and this is my kind of party. I want to join them. I don't know what they're doing, what ritual they're creating, but my god, they are adorable. So I love all the little critters. Magic in this, I think it's absolutely gorgeous. The colors are so vibrant. The work of the light in this deck, like how vibrant all of the light is, whether it's in the fire or the cups shining, for example, is really, really gorgeous. It makes this deck feels so vibrant when you're reading with it. It really pops when you're doing larger spreads. And I'm a huge fantasy lover, as you guys know. So anything that's set up in another world that feels like it's taking you to another dimension, that helps me to escape, I'm a huge fan of. In this day and age where the world feels like it's chaotic and dark, I appreciate decks that can take me out of that can ignite my imagination, that can speak to my inner child, that can speak to my intuition. And there's a little bit of a pagan feel in this deck. A lot of this happens in like a magical forest type, so for that it definitely gives fairy tale vibe, this kind of like magical forest, you know, and a lot of fairy tales happen in the forest. It's a huge theme in fairy tale. The aces in this deck are particularly beautiful. I think all of the aces are gorgeous. Again, I love these little creatures, and overall this deck is such a joy. This is one of my favorite cards. I absolutely adore this Five of Wands. It's so powerful and cool. This would be a great deck for people who love to write stories, as I think you could get so much stories with each card. You could write something. There's like definitely a vibe of storytelling in this deck. So I wouldn't call this a fairy tale deck personally. It definitely gives magical fantasy, and that's all I ask it to be. This High Priestess is absolutely stunning. The Hermit is probably my favorite card of the deck. I just adore this sage on top of a turtle. There's something so magical and intriguing about them that I absolutely adore this card. This is my favorite card of the deck, absolutely. This is just a joy to read with. Like I said, it follows the RWS. I'm having so much fun using this in March, so of course I will get back in touch with you guys in my monthly favorite, give you my finished kind of review. But just spoiler alert, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm excited to use it even more for the rest of the month. So that's the Fairy Tales Journey Tarot. Beautiful. And look, again, the aces in this deck are just so gorgeous, and again the work of light with the light shining on them, absolutely beautiful. So very happy with this deck. This is one you can absolutely expect to see on the Waves of Your Soul readings, as I'm super excited for this with you guys. This is my second favorite card. I told you I love the Hermit, and the Hangman is my second favorite. I love how everyone is looking at this chrysalis with this person growing. It represents the idea that everyone grows at their own pace, that you don't have to compare your own growth to anyone else, that you can take your time to evolve, to liquefy before you transform in a butterfly. Even though other people might have their wings already, you can take your time. You're on your own path. I absolutely adore this representation of the hangman. I think it's really beautiful, and there's so much you can pull from that in readings. So another one of my favorite cards for sure. Let's move on to Kickstarter decks, and then we'll have some mass market decks and a little make playing card order. Kickstarter decks, this is a Kickstarter I backed in 2024. I finally received my decks in the month of March, and so I wanted to share them with you. This is the Children of Lisa and Children of Ostara by Alexandria Huntington or Xia Hunt. And oh my gosh, you guys, these are absolute gems. So let's start with this. I actually have a funny story. This is the Kickstarter I backed, as this is the artist's latest deck, and this was her first one that I decided to add to my Kickstarter campaign, as this originally came out in 2019. I had bought my deck in 2019, and then I got rid of it after like a few weeks of me owning it, because I can't even tell you why. At the time, I was going through a phase where if I wasn't bonding with a deck immediately, I thought I had to get rid of it. Now I couldn't be further away from that philosophy. Now if I don't bond with a deck immediately, I take my time. I don't even care if a deck slips in my collection for 6 months. I'll get to it eventually. But then I think I was going through a moment where I was like, I need to get rid of stuff, and so I got rid of this particular deck, and I regretted it ever since, you guys. This is one of my biggest regrets of decks I let go, which is why now I'm so particular about my letting go process. And so last year, when the artist came out with the Children of Ostara on Kickstarter, and you could pick up her first deck, this one, the Children of Lisa, with it, I didn't hesitate at all, and I jumped on the occasion to repurchase this one, as this was one of my biggest regrets. And I'm so happy I finally got this in my hands again, because I've been lusting after this deck for ages, and I've been beating myself up about letting this one go. The Children of Lisa tarot is based around animals and their guardian, whereas the Children of Ostara, which we'll look at it in a little bit, is based around plants and botanical. So I am so happy to have finally my hands back on the Children of Lisa, as I really felt like such an idiot for letting this go at the time. I think at the time I probably was thinking this was a little bit too pippish for me, and I thought I wouldn't be able to read with it, and I didn't give my future self a chance, whereas now this is exactly the kind of deck that I love. It's fantasy inspired and it's nature based. I mean, these are my two biggest love when it comes to decks. I love nature decks, I love animal decks, I love anything that references nature, animals and all of that, and I adore fantasy, as we talked about it with my first deck I shared on this haul. I need to do a fantasy decks video, because I have so many amazing fantasy decks I want to share with you, mass market decks, indie decks, that I want to make a whole fantasy decks recommendation, and I thought I could split it and base it on like kinds of books. So like the best decks for cozy fantasy lovers, the best deck for romantasy lovers, the best deck for sword and sorcery lovers, the best deck for like fantasy books lovers. So let me know if that sounds interesting to you. I think it could be fun to tie fantasy books and media to a recommendation of tarot decks, and my gosh, this is so stunning. Another one of my favorite cards. I'm having a big love with the hermit cards in general. A lot of my decks currently are having gorgeous hermit. Maybe it's because we're in a year 9. 2025 is a year 9, so it's the year of the hermit, and I'm really appreciating the energy of the hermit this year, even though my personal yearly card is the Fool, which I'm loving as well, as it's always one of my favorite cards anyway. I carry big Fool energy in my life, and I'm proud of that. But my gosh, the court cards in this deck are so successful, particularly the queens in this deck are my favorite. Every single queen I would want to read a book where they are the main character. And then the way that this is set up, so major arcana, we have like those kind of fae almost. Some of them look human, some of them don't, and there's always an animal. And then each of the minors is set on a different kind of animals. So all the wand suit is like big cat and felines. For the pentacles, we have more earthy animals like deers and bulls and cows and those kinds of animals like stag, and it's mostly set up in winter. For the suit of cups, of course, it's going to be linked to water, so we have a lot of like ocean animal. And for the suit of air, we have mostly birds. So even the structure of the deck is super clever, I think, really well thought out. And look at this Lovers card. Oh my god, another absolutely beautiful card. This is definitely one of my favorite cards of the deck. This is giving romantasy down. I would love to read a romantasy book about these two beings. This is just absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, I love it so much. So I adore the fantasy beings of the majors. I adore how the structure is set up with the animals in the minors. I love now the fact that it's a little bit more pippish. I think Alexandria's art style is so beautiful. One of the most talented artists we have amongst tarot decks of recent times. For me, this speaks to my soul. I can't believe I let this go because this is so me now. This couldn't be a more me deck, and I have been absolutely obsessed specifically with this Children of Litha. I've not used the Children of Ostara yet. I've been focusing on getting to know the Children of Litha more first, and I could very easily see this becoming part of my favorites of the year because I'm having a massive crush on this deck and it's been reading so well for me. So let's talk quickly about the guidebook and then I'll share with you guys the Children of Ostara. Another huge favorite. Oh my god, this is just so good. For each of the cards you have a poem on this side, and then you have the message as to what this means, and then you have upward and reverse keywords. The poems are so great. We need to find the Queen of Swords because the poem gagged me. Where is she? There she is. I didn't have to look for it for very long. Another one of my favorite cards. I told you all the queens are amazing. All the queens, I could read books where there's a main character. This one though is just my favorite. She looks so fierce, so badass. And look at the poem associated with the Queen of Swords. When I read this the other day, I was gagged, you guys. I was gooped and gagged. It says, with a tongue sharp as steel, yet a much sharper wit. If it lies that you tell, then your throat I shall slit. Ooh, this is so good. So good. Someone writes a story about this, please. Someone write a story where she's the main character. She is badass. I can't wait to read for you guys with this deck on the Waves of Your Soul readings. I'm just having a massive love affair with this one. It's so funny how sometimes you get a deck and then you let it go because it's not the time, and then you get it again a few years later and suddenly it's like, wow, this is love. So I don't know if you guys have experienced that before. Let me know in the comments. Let me know if that's ever happened to you, where you had a deck, you let it go, massively regretted it, and at the time of you getting it again, it's like, now it was meant to be, you know, this is your time to create this beautiful relationship. The newest deck from Alexia though, the Children of the Ostara, was the Kickstarter that was happening last year. As I said, this one is based on botanicals, so on plants. Again, we have this gorgeous art style from Alexia, which you'll recognize straight away. Again, like the Children of Litha, for each of the cards we have a poem, and I love that so much. This is so great. I wish more people did that because I just love poems. And for this one, we have explanation for the plants, as each of the cards is going to depict a different plant or a different flower. So it will tell you what is depicted, and if there's, like, for example, for the star we have lavender, so it will tell you that lavender, what it's used for, if it has properties, if it's healing, what people are using that plant for. So this is also a great way to learn more about plants. I'm not a herbalist. I'm really not someone who knows much about plants, apart from plants that are like local to me, and so that are local to Reunion. I'm very good at tropical plants because that's what I have around me, but anything that's not really known to my local climate, I'm not very good at recognizing it. So I know that this is gonna be a learning curve for me. I know that I'm definitely not gonna recognize all the plants in this deck, and yet I don't really care because I, if I'm gonna be honest, got this deck for the art style more so than for the fact that it relates to plants and flowers. Will I love learning about the plants and the flowers? Absolutely. Will I need to know everything about the plants before I can use the deck and read with it? I don't think so at all. I could see myself picking this deck and reading with it now, but I do want to learn more about the plants, and I do want to see if there are any that I recognize. So I'm gonna have a lot of fun studying this deck and reading the guidebook, especially, like I said, because there's poems in the guidebook and I love that. Again, a gorgeous hermit. Come on, you guys. This is absolutely stunning. one of my favorite cards of the deck. There's something about these hermits that are just like, wow. Anything that Alexandria is gonna create from now on, I'm like, take my money. Specifically her tarot decks I think are amazing. I know there was a huge chunky oracle deck that's based around sigils, but that looks a little bit too confusing for me. I prefer this kind of art style, and I would love if she did one for each of the Sabbaths. I don't know what they would be based on though, because we already have plants and animals, so maybe one around crystals, or I don't know, maybe one around constellations and stars. I don't know, I don't care though. Like if she creates something else, I'll be like, yep, take my money, because I'm absolutely in love with her art style and with the intention to detail with how she thinks about things. And it's just so beautiful. So I haven't read with this one, as you can still see in order. Let's move on to the minors, a little bit more peepish as with the Children of Lisa. And again, you can see this time it's based on plants and flowers rather than animals. I've not used this one yet. I'd love to know if you guys have it. If you've backed the Kickstarter, have you used it yet? For me, I'm having a huge love affair with the Children of Lisa, so I'm going to keep the Children of Ostara probably for April or May. And, the court cards are always so well done. So I think that's one of her biggest strengths for this particular artist, is how beautiful and how relatable the court cards are. Like, even if they depict beings that are not necessarily of our world, you can read so much emotion into them. You can feel like you can write stories about them. I feel like her court cards are particularly well thought out and created in every single deck. Look at this Ace of Pentacles. I can't. This is absolutely stunning. So yeah, I think for Pentacles we have fruit. Well, maybe not actually. I don't know, you guys. I need to read it. I'm sure there's a structure. I'm sure there's like, maybe it's based on seasons. I'm not sure. I need to read it. Like I said, I'm not a huge plant person. I flipped through the deck. It's absolutely stunning. But I need to do a proper study. But I'd love to know if you guys have the deck, if you have used it, how it reads, the kinds of readings you've done with it. Oh, I know this one. Okay, so there's gonna be some tropical flowers, because that's Birds of Paradise. And we have that in Reunion. Okay, so there might be flowers I recognize, and probably more in the wand suit. Look, we have chilies. Yeah, okay, so I think the wand suit, yeah, I know this one. I think the wand suit will be probably the suit I recognize the most. But we'll see. I'll keep again. I'll let you guys know how it goes. We'll round it up with the last court cards, which again are so beautiful. We have the Page of Wands. We have the Knight of Wands. Gorgeous. And look at this creature that is represented. It's like a dragon, but it's also a plant, obviously. So cool. The Queen of Wands. Oh, she's gorgeous. And the tree is a fig tree. Absolutely gorgeous. It says, like fig fruits ripening on the tree, desire grows, feels, and then bursts free. Tempting fruits of love and lust, they are both of fidelity and rewards just. Fig covers shame with her unfurling leaf and grants us a reprieve, however brief. As the joy of her fruit coats the tongue, desire pulls until modesty is undone. Fig will see her success sweetly peak as she emboldens the gentle and the meek. She calls to rise and take what you desire, or see all sweet fruit lost to the pyre. Ooh, this is amazing, you guys. I'm gonna have so much fun reading about this. Obviously, fig being linked to Greek. For me, fig is linked to Greek mythology, Greek antiquity, things like that. I can't wait to read more about this. I can't wait to read the guidebook. I can't wait to study this deck. Very, very, very impressed about these two indie decks. Definitely one of the best Kickstarters I've backed in recent years, to be honest. Let's talk about the wonderful gifts I received in the month of March, which honestly made me feel so teary-eyed when I received it, because it's so special and beautiful. And that is the Wildscape Odyssey by Athan, who also goes as Luxentius on Instagram. I will make sure to leave his Instagram down below. This was a creation by Athan, something that he created as a personal project. So it's not currently for sale to the general public, but he had some copies and that he made for himself, and super kindly offered to send me one. And I'm just so grateful, as this is a beautiful collage deck that he created as part of his own personal project of wanting to use his creativity and wanting to follow his intuition. And this is just so gorgeous. I've been using this deck non-stop in the month of March. So this is a collage style. Like I said, this is not for sale to the great public, but I think Athan Stan might have a few copies left, so if you really love it, I will leave his Instagram down below and you can check with him if there's any copies left that he has printed. This was not meant to be sold to the general public. This was meant as a creative project for himself, and I'm just really grateful that he decided to share that with me, because there is nothing I love more than when people share their deck creation with me. I love that so much when someone trusts me enough to hold a part of their soul like this, because I know how difficult creating a deck can be. It requires vulnerability, bravery, patience, hard work, dedication for anyone to create a deck. So when someone decides to share that with me and to send me one of their decks, I'm always blown away, and it always makes me feel super emotional. And like, this deck makes me feel very emotional because I'm just always grateful that someone trusts me enough to share that part of their soul with me, to share a little bit of their light with me. I feel now like I become a keeper almost of their deck creation, and it's so special to me. And that's the way I feel about all the decks I back on a Kickstarter. Being able to support an indie artist, support their creation, is just, again, you feel like you're able to, once the deck is finished, hold a little bit of their soul. And it reminds me that we are all connected. We're all part of the great web of life. It doesn't matter our age, our culture, our language, our background. We have found a way to each other through our common passion for the cards, for the great mysteries, for the universe, for art, connection we share with the people who create a deck, and being able to hold that deck and work with it and read with it and ask questions about the meaning of life with it. How special is that? It makes me feel so grateful for the fact that we're alive, that we have this community we share, and I'm just so grateful to Aden for sharing this particular creation with me, because it's stunning and it's very intentionate, and it goes so well with all of my collage decks. It's reading like a dream, and I'm gonna cherish this forever. So I wanted to share this with you as a thank you, celebrate his creativity, and to encourage you all, if you have it in you, if you have that desire, to go and create your deck, because I think we need more beauty in the world, we need more grace in the world, we need everyone's sensitivity and everyone's vulnerability and everyone's desire to bare their soul. The more the world is trying to harden us, the more we should make an effort to remain soft and gentle and compassionate. And this deck reminds me of that. So I wanted to share it with you. And again, say a huge thank you to Hassan if you're watching. And I'll make sure to leave his Instagram down below. Even if you can't get your hands on the deck, still go and follow him. Send him some love. This is what community is all about. We want to celebrate and uplift each other. Let's do mass market decks, you guys. Mass market decks that I ordered last year that finally arrived. So let's talk about the Unfolding Past Tarot, which is by Athene Noctua. This used to be a indie deck, and then it was picked up mass market last year or 2 years ago, I can't remember. This is a deck I wanted indie at the time, and then I don't know, I forgot about it. You know, there's so many decks to buy, so many indie decks out. We can't get everything, we can't buy everything. So it kind of ended up falling off my wish list at some point, or I forgot about it. I don't know what happened. And then I found out it was picked up mass market, and I was like, yeah, absolutely, I will take that. Thank you so much. So I've not read with this deck yet. You're gonna see it's still in order. All of these decks I bought from Werewaves, because they are a international company that delivers to Reunion, and whilst it takes months for me to receive the decks, it's still an awesome option. As I don't have Amazon where I live, so I'm happy I'm able to find a way to get mass market decks where I live. So this is a very diverse deck. It's the main reason why I got this deck and why I wanted it, is because we have a beautiful diversity of skin tone, of ages, of body size, and that is always something I'm looking for in my decks. As a tarot reader, I really value being able to provide a choice of decks where people see themselves in a deck. It's so powerful when that happens. I know, because I feel empowered when I see myself in a deck, and I want to give that to everyone I read. When I see a deck that is beautifully diverse, that shares a lot of different people, and then on top of that, that has this gorgeous art style. I mean, come on, look at these backs. You can't get mad at that, right? It's so gorgeous. Get this gorgeous diverse deck that I know I will really appreciate using for, I think mostly for other people, to use for reading for clients or for my Pick a Card Readings channel. It's giving Light Seers, let's be real. It's giving Light Seers 2.0. But you know what? I love the Light Seers, so I'm not mad about that at all. And I think it's even more diverse than the Light Seers, actually. Even though I love the Light Seers was like, what, 2020, 2019? So this feels like the 2.0 version. I love that we see this ability in the card about success. I'm sick of that trope when the only disabled person in the card is in a wheelchair on the chariot. That is lazy AF. I am sick of that. But seeing success and reward, yes, thank you so much. We love that. So really, really appreciate all the efforts that have been made to depict all kinds of different people. And this art style is gorgeous. I mean, really, really beautiful. The use of watercolor. It's just joyful. I love all the little like sparkles everywhere. It's really stunning. So this is one I know already I'm gonna use a lot on my Pick a Card Readings channel, because I feel like this could become a workhorse, you know, like work reading, day-to-day reading, love reading. This is gonna be able to do everything. It's definitely an RWS vibe. If I had to go somewhere and do readings for people, this is the kind of deck I'd want to bring. And I'm always looking for decks like that. Like I said, in my tarot collection, I'm always looking for decks that are diverse, that show a lot of different kinds of people, and especially it's mass market. So if I take it places, I won't be scared of it getting damaged or anything like that, because it's easily replaceable. So this would be a great gift to someone who want to learn tarot. I think the guidebook, I flipped through it. It was well done. I can see this being a very easy read. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it. It's super popular. A lot of people have talked about it last year. I just got it quite later than everyone else. And last court card we have Knight, Queen and King. Beautiful. I love them. I'm excited to have this part of my collection to offer for other people. It's gonna be beautiful. The other mass market deck I picked up from Weirwaves that took ages to come is the Symbol and Oracle. And this is the third time I bought this deck, you guys. Do you have this? I need to know if some of you have had this experience before, where you've had to purchase a deck numerous times before it finally made it to you, because I had this deck ages ago, like maybe 2017, a long time ago, and I lost it in a move, and then I bought it again and it never arrived. So I bought it a third time last year and it finally made its way to me. This is an oldie deck, you guys. This is an oldie but a goodie. It's classic. I think originally was published in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 1993 was the first publishing. I have the AGM Urania edition, and this is an oracle deck that has I think 78 cards, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 78 cards, and on each of the cards you don't have keywords, you have those life scenes. You have some astrological associations. We have almost major arcana in this deck, as well as then you have those kind of like minor arcana, but it's not really related to tarot, I don't think. The main focus are those life scenes added with the astrological association. And then on the guidebook for each of the card, you will have this, what they call the signature, so the astrological association. You have the summary, so these are like your keywords, and then they've split it up so you can look at this as if it's the problem, look at it as if it's the way through the problem, and then look at it as if it's the outcome. So you always have three ways you can use the card, depending on the context, depending on the spreads you use, obviously. This is very based around archetypes as well. The queen, the actor, we have the troublemaker, the strategist. Not all of the cards are linked to archetypes, but we have quite a few archetypes in there. And this is a very balanced kind of deck that works great for fortune telling, because we definitely have some happier cards than others. This is a very popular deck in France amongst French cartomancers and tarot readers. This is a deck that is very, very popular. Not one I see a lot of English readers read with though, but one that I know is very popular amongst French readers, and this one cracks me up. And it's one that's super intuitive. If you're looking for a deck that feels very intuitive, and if you have a little bit of astrological knowledge to add on top of that, you can pull from the associations here. And it's great for fortune telling, great for divination, things like that. Very OG classic deck that I know a lot of my fellow French readers love and that I'm very happy I finally got my hands on. It's giving you a little bit medieval vibe as well, which is where the religious connotation could come from. You know, you have a lot of knights and things like that, and there's like trials and but this is awesome. This is a really great reader for, like I was saying, specifically fortune telling, things like looking at the energies of the months ahead, week ahead. This is a deck I used to really enjoy, and I'm excited to have it again. I'd love to know if you guys have had that experience where you've had to order a deck multiple times for it to come, because literally this one, first I lost it, then then when I paid for it, it never arrived, and finally this year, the third time was a charm, because it decided that, yeah, you know what, I'm ready to work for you. So I had to really work hard for this deck to decide to join me again. So I hope now we can be good friends. I've actually done a couple of readings with this one. It was a bit brutal, I'm not gonna lie. This is a little bit of a brutal reader for me, but you know, I appreciate that. You know, you guys know I have a soft spot sometimes for getting bitch slapped by the universe, and I think this one is going to do that just fine. So let me know if you have this one, how you read with it and all of that. I love to read you. The last mass market decks I received in March was the newest deck. I think this one only came out early 2025, if I'm not mistaken. That is the Alchemy of the Spirit Oracle by Cristina Gonzalez. This one I had pre-ordered as soon as I saw a couple of images. I literally didn't even know what it was about. I just saw the cover, I saw a couple of images, and I was like, yeah, I think that's a bit of me. I was right. So I am glad I followed my intuition, because this is awesome. So here are the backs, which are absolutely gorgeous, and I adore the art style. The art style is mostly what appealed to me, because it's colorful, it's cute, it's whimsical, it's happy, it's everything I love, right? I can't wait to pair this with like my groovy weight tarot, my spring weight tarot, and all of those like cute rainbow kind of decks that I own. But what I didn't expect, and that really surprised me the most, is that the structure of this deck is awesome. So it's actually split into 3 different parts. The first part is places. You have 22 cards, I think. The second part is animals. And then the third part is symbols. So the first part of the deck, which are places, you're going to see are what the author calls cards of situation. They're meant to represent different stages of your journey, of your spiritual path. And I love the idea of working with the archetype of places and link that with my personal internal landscape. I think that's fantastic. I love working with archetypes anyway. I love working with the idea that we all have internal landscape within, that we can travel to different internal parts of our internal landscape. One day maybe my internal landscape will look like a moorland, and another day it might look like a desert. And what does that mean for me in terms of where I'm at on my personal path, where I'm at in my life? So in the guidebook, she actually links those 2 moments. So if we have a look at the graveyard, for example, it says moments of acceptance. And so you have a sentence like a mantra, and then you will have your message, and you have in balance or out of balance, so upward or reversed. The guidebook is fantastic, you guys. I'm really impressed the way this is written. At the beginning of the guidebook, you have a poem dedicated to someone she knew who passed, and just reading that, I was crying already. And I was like, wow, okay, this deck, whilst it might look cute, is actually a lot more profound than I expected, and that blew me away. You're gonna see on every single card we have this little white kitty. The white kitty is supposed to represent the self. She explained in the guidebook it's meant to be us. It's our ego, it's our self, and so it's there in every single card to accompany on this particular journey, and I thought that was absolutely adorable. The second part of the oracle are animal based, and these are considered spirits. So we have lots of different animals, not just animals from the northern hemisphere. We have my favorite card coming up, we have to find it, are the otters. When I saw the otters card, I literally squealed, like I scared my dog, because she was snoring next to me and she was like, what the heck is going on? And I was like, look at it, look at the cute otters. We need to find it. But yeah, again, gorgeous artwork. Again, you have the gorgeous little kitty that represents the self in every single one of the card, and these are meant to be spirits, and that they represent different concepts. So we have the spirit of serenity, the spirit of strength, the spirit of wisdom. So again, very linked to archetype psychology. And we have a whale. So of course, I couldn't say no. And look at this. Oh my God, I cannot. This is adorable. I love others. They are chubby. I can't. This is just heaven right there, you know. These, I would die for these. These others are everything. So anyway, these are the spirits. They represent the spirit of temperance, of spread, of strength, of serenity, etc., etc. And finally, the last part of the deck are symbols, and you're gonna see they're like universal symbols. So again, we're still working with that kind of Jungian archetypal energy. These are considered signs that your guides can send you, so signs from the spiritual world. And we have 21 cards representing objects or symbols that can have a meaning, and that your guides or your ancestors or your past loved ones could then present to you in your awake world. You might see these symbols again, and they have a certain meaning. And so these signs are linked to different concepts like faith or trust or light, etc., etc. So I really appreciate the structure of the deck and the gorgeous art style. Like when I got the deck originally, when I pre-ordered it, I literally only saw the box and a couple of cards, and I was like, yeah, it's adorable. It's exactly my kind of art style. I love the colors. Add to cart. What I didn't expect was how profound, well thought out, and well structured this deck is. So I'm super excited to read with this for you guys in my pick a card readings. I think of so many different spreads we could do, so I'm gonna have so much fun doing a lot of spreads, using this for lots of different readings. And again, I will talk more about how I'm using this in my monthly favorites, because I don't want to be here all day. We still have some decks to talk about, but very, very impressed with the alchemy of the spirit so far. Beautiful guidebook, beautiful art style. The last decks I wanted to talk about were part of an order I put out on Make Playing Cards. Make Playing Cards are a print-on-demand website, and that's where a lot of people who create decks, but they don't want to have to make the hassle of like finding a publisher for it or having to ship decks out to people or anything. A lot of artists will create a deck and put it on Make Playing Card for us to buy and print on demand. If you guys are not familiar with Make Playing Cards, there's lots of wonderful decks on there that people have created, and I put an order for 3 of them. They finally arrived. It can take a while for Make Playing Card stuff to arrive, even when you don't live on a little island in the middle of nowhere like me. So that's one thing to be aware of. And definitely the shipping can be expensive, so it is way more worth it to buy a few decks at once, because shipping is pricey. Whether you buy 1 deck or 5 decks, it's pretty much the same amount of shipping, at least internationally. So you're much better off waiting until you have a few decks you want from that website to make it worth your shipping price. That being said, I have 3 decks I want to talk about. The first one is this gorgeous creation by my friend Nova from Nova Mundi here on YouTube. You might know her. If not, I'll make sure to link her channel down below. She has a wonderful YouTube channel. She's a tarot lover like me, and she's created a few decks on her Make Playing Card shop. She has recently done a Toss deck, I think, for all of my Toss lovers out there, but the one I really wanted was this one. She's her RWS Mundi, Jules, and Frost. I will make sure to leave the link to that down below so you can find the information. So this is an RWS that Nova has reworked. It's more pocket size, as you might realize from my giant orc hands. So this is great for those of you who have smaller hands or who might have like arthritis in your hands, things like that. This is definitely more on the pocket size. And the uniqueness about Nova's decks is that, at least for her RWS decks, you have one side that is in one color. So I think this is the Frost, if I'm not mistaken, which is the RWS in all of these blues. And on the other side, you don't have backings, you have the RWS again, but in different colorings. And I think this one is the Jules coloring, if I'm not mistaken. Again, I'll put all the information down below. The idea of having 2 decks in one, and I think that Nova has done an amazing job, specifically with her this coloring, which is the most bright one, which is the one I really wanted, because I love this kind of like black light neon pop of color coloring. It's so cool. I think she's done a fantastic job, and for a little RWS with poppy colors, I am in love. And again, I just love the fact that it's 2-sided. This is so cool. You get 2 decks for one. The size is super practical, and this has actually been living in my handbag. I've been taking this everywhere with me, and it's been my go-to deck to read when I'm on the go. I just love the pop of color. The cardstock is a little bit shiny, not too much, but it means that it feels quite durable. Like it feels like even if I spilled a little bit of coffee on it, which happens sadly more often than I would like to admit, it feels like it would be fine. And look at this, those colors are so cool. So the unique thing about this deck is that when Nova created them, the RWS Mundi, she asked a few, I would say, she calls them tarot influencers. I don't consider myself a tarot influencer, but I guess content creator, tarot tubers, fellow people who talk about tarot on the internet. She asked some of us for our favorite spreads. And so when you get these decks, you also get a few spreads from a few fellow tarot YouTubers. We have this one with Tammy Pie, this one by Dark Fate Tarot, my lovely friend Niha, who has the channel Dark Fate Tarot. We have definitely some awesome spreads, and there is one by me you will be able to discover if you decide to purchase this deck. But as you can see, this one is by me, Boost Your Tarot Skills by The Waves of Your Soul. So I was super grateful that Nova asked me to be a part of this project. It was really an honor, and I adore these little decks that she created. She has two different colorings. So like I said, this one is the Jewels and Frost, but there's another one where I think you get a black and white deck and another color I can't remember, but this is the one I really wanted because I just love how poppy and bright and joyful this is. Like these are just everything. So cool. So I'll make sure to leave all the detail to Nova's channel down below where you can get this deck, and I just wanted to say thank you so much to her letting me be part of her project and letting me add my own little spread to this creation. The other two decks I got from Make Playing Card, we have the Hilda Tarot Gingham Edition. Oh my god, you guys, this has been a unicorn deck for me for ages. It was out of print for a really long time, and then I found out recently by following the creator on Instagram who goes by Regretti Spaghetti that they put the deck back on Make Playing Cards after it had been out of print for a really long time, and I jumped on it. So this is on linen cardstock. It comes in this beautiful blue gingham edition, and this is a curated art style deck that uses pre-existing artwork from the Hilda pin-up vintage kind of art style. She was a pin-up icon, obviously, that at the time had been created as a celebration of women with curves, because a lot of the pin-ups were at the time very slim and very skinny, and Hilda was a lot more curvy and curvaceous. This deck takes curated artwork from this pin-up icon and was turned into a deck, and this is amazing. I'm so in love with this deck. Another huge favorite for me the whole month of March. I will definitely be sharing more of it in my monthly favorites. This has become my go-to self-care deck because there is something so empowering, joyful, and beautiful about seeing this curvy woman love herself, live her life, be present, be bold, laugh, be silly, make mistakes, and not give a shit, right? I love this sass and whole lot of ass, and I'm so here for Hilda. I'm here for her quirkiness, I'm here for her humanness, I'm here for her vulnerability, and just everything about this deck makes me so happy. It makes me just feel a lot better in my own body. It makes me want to be in the present moment, makes me want to pet my dogs, makes me want to just eat cake and enjoy life and not take things too seriously. And I think Hilda is an icon. Honestly, she's an icon. She represents this idea that you don't have to shrink yourself to fit in, that you can just be who you want to be without giving a shit about what people think. She also represents this idea of remaining soft in a world that is determined to harden us, and she's just living her best life with her dogs. Like, how much more epic is that? That's my idea of happily ever after, to be honest. Just look at this. It's amazing. And the choices that the creator Duan made for each of the cards, I think is so well chosen. Like, there's literally not one image that I don't see the tarot behind. I think everything is so well chosen. It's cheeky, it's sassy, it's joyful, and again, I can't wait to read for this for you guys because I'm loving it for myself. It's been bringing me so much joy. It's my self-care deck for March. I'm obsessed, and this is a deck I had seen ages ago. It was always on my wish list and then it was out of print. So the fact that it's back in availability, that we can get it printed on demand, is just so wonderful. The Hilda Tarot is a toot. And the last deck I wanted to talk about that I got on Make Playing Card is actually a deck I've not used yet, and that is the Lacrimosa Tarot. This is the latest creation by Rosebay Tarot. Fantastic deck creator. She graced us with the Sistine Tarot last year. Her latest creation, the Lacrimosa Tarot, is another amazing creation by Rosebay, so I'll make sure to leave all of her details down below. Again, this is Make Playing Cards. You can get this printed on demand, and I'm pretty sure there's different versions of this. I got the simple version, comes with no gilding and no keywords, but I think there's a version that comes with gilding, comes with a little guidebook that references the artwork, as this is pre-existing art style. And Rosebay really did her big one with this one, because this is amazing, you guys. This has been taking the tarotube world by storm. I've seen a few of my fellow tarotubers absolutely obsessing with this deck, and for good reason, because this reuses pre-existing art style, which we're quite familiar with, but the way that this zooms in on certain elements and the way that Rosebay really took in certain parts of the art style and then added it on black backgrounds makes this such a mood, right? And that's the only reason why I've not used this deck yet, is because the vibe of it feels not summery at all, and I'm in the middle of summer. So right now, the mood is definitely more Hilda Tarot and Alchemy of Spirit for me, rather than this very dark and moody and gothic vibe. But let me tell you, in a couple of months, when it starts to get cooler where I am, ooh baby, this is gonna be amazing. Look at this, lovers. Yeah, this is like if Emily Bronte created a tarot deck, you know. I think that would be the vibe. This is the kind of deck that you could imagine some powerful occult women in the 1800s, if they could use a deck, this would be it. Oh, this is so good, you guys. It's absolutely gorgeous. The choices of art style, the way again that Rosebay really picked certain elements and then put them on this black background makes this really unique, and it feels like it really is a mood. It's a mood. It's like this is a whole vibe, takes you into this really powerful gothic world, and it's so cool. This might be my favorite Rosebay Tarot. I loved her Sistine Tarot so much, but oh my god, this one is something else. You can get this printed on demand, gilded edges, no gilded edges. You can get this now. I think she did one with the titles on the majors. I prefer no titles on my majors, but for those of you who like, you can get that. Very unique for something that reuses pre-existing art style. I think this really takes you to a specific mood, a specific vibe, a specific world. I cannot wait to read with this when autumn hits reunion, because this is gonna be that delicious kind of gothic vibe for me. Queen of Wands, one of my favorite cards of the deck. She's absolutely stunning. I love the black background. And just so you know, there is a little bit of renaming. Instead of cups, we have hearts, and that makes so much sense. You know, the cups being linked to this suit of emotion, it makes sense to me to have the heart. So powerful. Look at this Seven of Hearts. So cool. Oh my god, she's done a fantastic job. So I wanted to share it with you guys. Again, I've not read with this, so I can't tell you how it reads, the kind of readings that it works well with, because currently that's not really the mood that I am in, but because I was putting a Make Playing Cards order anyway, I really wanted this deck. I picked it up at the same time to make the most of shipping, and I'm so glad that this exists. I'm so grateful that Rosebay put it up for us to be able to enjoy, because she's done something really special here. It's really, I don't know, it's nostalgic and gothic and haunted almost. I would love to know if you guys have this one. I know a lot of people picked it up, so if you have it, let me know how you read with it, the kind of readings you've done with it, as I'm curious. And of course, when I've used it, I'll come back, tell you my full thought. But I just wanted to shout out Rosebay for this gorgeous creation, because this is truly outstanding. This Page of Coins is amazing. Let's wrap it up. Knight of Coins, I love as an Aries. Yes, thank you so much. I feel seen. Queen of Coins is beautiful, and King of Coins, gorgeous. So that's the Lacrimosa Tarot by Rosebay. Beautiful creation. Obviously, I'm going to edge this in black. Has to be done. And that's the last deck we're going to talk about today. So like I said, I have a few other new decks coming later in the month, as it's gonna be my birthday, and some of my friends told me they sent me some gifts and stuff, and I know my family as well asked me what I wanted, and I mentioned some decks on my wish list. So there's gonna be new decks arriving end of March / beginning of April that I will be super excited to share with you. But I didn't want to wait another few weeks before I shared with you all of these goodies. So I hope you enjoyed seeing my new decks. Definitely check out the Waves of Your Soul readings, my other channel, to see how they read, as I'm gonna be putting all of these to good use. And until my next video, I want to thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your support, your kindness. I'm sending you so much good vibes, and keep navigating the waves of your soul. Bye!